Hi, this is Abbas Hussain from FightHype.com, and I'm here with young prospect Umar Sadiq. I just want to talk about yourself now. You turned professional last summer. You had your debut maybe 4 or 5 months ago. First of all, tell me the latest with yourself. When you're next out?
So yeah, debut 4 months ago, September, under Billy Joe Monroe undercard. So that was a good card to be on. Then I was supposed to have my second one in the Gale undercard, but I was afloat. I accepted being afloat. Never got the call out, and that was the dice that I rolled. The numbers I wanted didn't come up, and take it on the chin and keep moving. So the next one is on February the 24th at the York Hall. It's going to be a really good show, great venue for it. York Hall is actually one of the venues that I always wanted to box in as a pro. So it's great that it's happening so early in my career. That's another box I tick off and then keep it cracking.
So what's the plans for 2018? You sat down with Frank last year, signed with Frank Warren. Now you've got the exposure on Box Nation, BT Sport. But what's the plan for 2018, yourself and Frank?
The plan is to box as often as possible, learn as much as possible against a variation of opponents, so that I can add more variables to my game and becoming more of a complete fighter, so that when I'm at world level I have all the tools that I need. So again, the mantra is box as much as possible, get around the country as much as possible. Ideally, some scenarios I'd like to have would be to box another prospect on a similar level as I am, just to show that I'm beyond prospect level. I'd love to also then, after that, go on to box someone who's been knocking around British level for a while, just to see what it's about, but also to prove that I am at that level, because I do think I have what it takes to win a British title already. And then after that, if anyone has an international title fight or world title fight and the opponent pulls out any time, even if it's on a week's notice, call my phone, or call Frank Warren or anything, I'll take on anyone.
Good stuff, good stuff. And just talking about yourself and how you got into boxing, growing up, who did you used to watch, to sort of motivate you and get into boxing?
That was interesting, because growing up I didn't even watch boxing.
There's a few people that do say that though, interesting.
Yeah. I fell into boxing by accident. I fell into boxing more because it was something to do because I just wanted to be competitive, stay fit, that sort of stuff. And I did it for about 4 years before I actually started fighting. But the fighters that I watched when I first got into boxing tend to be a lot of slicksters. So Nazeem Hamed being like the slickest of the lot. Then you got Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, and I'll go back into the old school as well. So I watch like the likes of Pep, Robinson, a few, every now and again, just like, because what they do is so, what they did then was so basic that you could see the intent behind what they're doing. I find that modern fighters tend to disguise what they're doing a lot, and you really need to watch carefully to understand what they're doing. But when you watch old boxing, what happens a lot of times is you see what they're trying to do. So when you see a modern day fighter disguising it, you still pick it up. I probably shouldn't have told everyone that, but yeah.
Just to let people know, you're a super middleweight fighter. Obviously, we've seen the World Boxing Super Series, super middleweight tournament happening at this present time. You've got George Groves-Eubank fighting in February. How do you see that fight playing out?
It's a bit of a tough one. I think it depends on whether or not Groves can handle the ferociousness of Chris Eubank. So what Groves has done a lot of times in some fights is he allows an opponent to seem like they're coming on top of him. Personally, when I read it as he's comfortably on the ropes and biding his time, reading what's going on. But it looks like from the outside that he's under pressure he doesn't like, so that would sway judges. But also what that happens in that case is that he's given the opponent more opportunities to actually get through with shots that could actually hurt him. So providing he deals with the ferociousness of Chris Eubank, I see Froch doing it. But if Groves, I see Groves doing it. But if he's unable to keep Chris Eubank off with a good jab and good footwork, then Chris Eubank would dominate him.
And in regards to that tournament, who do you see winning that World Boxing Super Series?
Hard to tell, innit? The best bet I can make though is that it's likely to be someone from Britain.
So you're saying there's Groves, Eubank, obviously, then it comes to me.
Yeah, I think one of the three of them wins the tournament, ideally.
I want a prediction on few fights actually, because I like the way you talk about boxing. I like the way you sort of analyse boxing. Big fight that was announced 2 days ago by The Rock. On his social media, he announced Canelo-Golovkin number 2, 5th of May. How do you see that fight playing out in the rematch?
In a rematch, I see. So first of all, in the first fight, what we saw was Golovkin aiming to cut the ring off, sticking a lot of pressure on Canelo. But fortunately for Canelo, he had the fitness to maintain and sustain the work rate that he had. What happened was that Golovkin had a higher work rate, but he wasn't necessarily landing. So he was hitting gloves, missing a lot. And you know, you got to score. One of the judging criteria of boxing is effective aggression. So the fact that he was cutting off the ring wall gives him effective aggression, but then he wasn't landing shots. So how effective is it? Again, it all becomes subjective. So you can see why the judges, or some judges, might have seen it as a draw, put it Canelo's way. I personally had Canelo up by 2 rounds, but I accepted a draw happily because I could see how things could be misconstrued. Going into the rematch, I think Golovkin, chances are he's going to do more of the same, but maybe pick his shots a bit better. But then I also see Canelo maybe firing back a bit more, rather than allowing Golovkin to look like he's outworking him. So it was an interesting matchup. What I liked was that it was good to see that they could both take each other's power. Golovkin, we've always known, had a granite chin, but Canelo impressed me with a few of the shots he took. If he can do that again, I see a Canelo victory. But if not, then Golovkin potentially stops him. So my prediction is Canelo points, Golovkin stoppage.
Fair enough. Heavyweight division booming at this present time. We've seen Joshua versus Parker being announced for a unification clash. How do you see that fight playing out as well?
Honestly, I haven't watched much of Parker. But from what I've seen, he's tough, and he's there to fight. And but what the disadvantages are with that is every time someone's come to fight Joshua, they've come unstuck. Klitschko did the best against Joshua, but Klitschko came to box, moved around, had a bit of finesse about him. Dillian Whyte was another person who came to fight. He did get to Joshua at some point, but it all went towards his own undoing. So I'm going to have to go for Joshua. He's a man at the moment. He's got good momentum. He's been performing really well in recent times. In the Takam fight, I personally thought it was a good performance against an opponent that's coming in short notice. Because people say Takam came in on short notice, but Joshua had that on short notice as well, because he wasn't expecting to fight Takam. All it was that he was fit, but it doesn't mean that, you know, he made a game plan and worked on it for that long. And to my understanding, Takam was fit anyway because he was already in the gym. So yeah, Joshua.
And talking about then Joshua, if Joshua wins, the fight that the fight fans want to see eventually is Joshua versus Wilder. Now, both men are going to be fighting in March. If they both win, it sort of paves the way maybe later on in the year for them to have a fight, a big unification clash. How do you see that one playing out?
That one's quite simple. Whoever lands the right hand first. That's literally it. It's literally that.
Wicked. Umar, listen, it's been amazing talking to yourself. Obviously, you've got a big year ahead of yourself. What do you want to say to the people that are going to be tuning in on Box Nation, BT Sport, just keeping in tabs with this? What do you want to say to them?
I want to say tune in. I've got a style that you haven't necessarily seen before. There might have been similar fighters to me, but what's unique about me is that I adapt and I do whatever's necessary to get a win or to get to my opponent. So you're going to see, you know, a unique style, someone who adapts really well, brings something new, a breath of fresh air, a matured performance. But most importantly, it's not just about me. There's a show of a lot of other upcoming fighters in the stable, so it's just generally a good show. February the 24th, tune in, Box Nation, BT Sport, or come to the York Hall and watch. It's going to be great.
Okay, thank you very much. Talk to ferociousness.com. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers for that.